there, everybody. It's Mothership checking in. We're going to be casting for you guys tonight for Storm Gaming. We have a ton of games tonight. To start off, though, I want to see, let's just go with a quick rundown of some of the games we've got planned. Hopefully we'll be able to do them all, because I'm pretty excited. But to start off, we actually have a game that was played a little bit earlier between Freedom and Paradox, which is, I believe, a ZVT. That's going to be played on Catalina. Then afterwards, we'll have a match between Blake, I believe, HG and Criminal. Then J-Don versus Freedom. J-Don we actually saw yesterday when I was casting with Draven. And then we'll have Kenji Muyo versus Freedom again. And then we'll have Lamp versus Migraine. Seth versus Lamp as well. And then hopefully, depending on who else is around, we might even have some more live games to cast. But without further ado, I think it's about time we actually got into our very first game. So let's go ahead and do this. So, spawning here in the northern position, our orange Zerg, his name is Freedom. Ooh, throwing out the GLHF on perfect timing there. And on the left-hand side, who's going to be his opponent? Playing a completely different race. In purple, his name is Paradox. Alright, so nothing too crazy coming out of either player. No early pools, no shenanigans. Looks like we don't have any SUVs, so we're not going to have a double proxy racks like we started off yesterday, which was pretty exciting. But who knows? We could have some more surprises in store from either player, but nothing too crazy coming out here yet. The first supply depot going off at the front. If you ever wonder why Terrans build that supply depot up in front against Zergs, it's for walling off, which is a pretty simple concept that I think a lot of people learn early on in Starcraft. But hey, maybe you're new to Starcraft and you never understood why. The reason why is that Zerglings are actually melee units, so if they are walled off and blocked off, they can't actually damage units that are in the back, like the range units that Terran have, which are called Marines. Pretty simple stuff in Starcraft. Looking at our worker count so far early on, nothing too extraordinary here. Zerg just has a slight worker economy because those larvae come out a little bit quickly, allowing them to start drones before their previous one had finished. Unlike the Terrans, who have to build them sequentially. And actually, okay, now we're having something a little bit weird happening here. We actually have 3 SCVs making the way across the map, and I'm not entirely sure why. Paradox laughing himself. It may have been a mistake, seeing how they're actually following a 4th one, or maybe he's just remarking the fact that that Freedom actually saw it with his Overlord. They're going to the wrong base as well. Actually, let's take a look. Actually, Paradox hasn't even scouted at all this game, so he's not. I guess he was hoping to. I'm not exactly sure what the plan is with these workers. Maybe he was. Oh, okay, there we go. Now we're seeing a couple of barracks come down. Freedom's looking around. Uh-oh, I accidentally hit the seek button. So we're going back a few seconds. We'll watch these SCVs get in position here once again. And it looks like Freedom, like I said, is actually scouting about for this. He saw those SCVs coming across the map, so you can be pretty aware of the fact that something a little unorthodox is on the way. As a response, we're just seeing Lings come out. We're seeing the a Spine Crawler as well, and then the Queen for injects and basic. This is just a pretty strong unit to have as Zerg. So three barracks are coming out right now. All of them kind of spaced out a little bit interestingly, I have to say. Throwing down the hatchery as well, which is fine because if he can defend the hatchery, then he'll be in a pretty good spot. He's got a lot to defend with here as well. And these barracks are coming up kind of late. The Lings are already out, so he might even be able to cancel every single one of these barracks. And if that happens for Paradox, not a good place to be in. Anyways, getting one of the SCVs, but actually straight up missing, accidentally hitting the back button again. It's so close to V, which is for vision. So we get to watch the instant replay on the murder of that SCV. The humanity. But yeah, he is aware of those 2 barracks at top. Maybe he's just figuring that they would have completed by now, so instead he wants to go for the counterattack. But again, we were talking about the fact that why do Terrans wall off? It's because melee units like the Zerglings get blocked out. And we will have one of those range units, the Marine, going to be shooting out here at the top. Wow, this is like a very educational cast here. Really proud of that. Anyways, SCV's kind of chilling here. I think they wanted to get a bunker started, but we're not actually seeing that bunker begin. We have a Spine Crawler down here at the natural, but there's no creep actually for it to plant itself, so it's it's actually just a meat shield. There's only one Marine here, so the DPS is not very strong on this one Marine. A couple Lings here as well to defend. One is getting on the SCV building, which is very wise, but the actual SCVs in that single Marine there, going to be able to pick off the few remaining Zerglings. But still, the bunker isn't being completed with this Marine. He's trying his hardest, trying to fight this big, nasty Queen. The Spine Crawler still hasn't been rooted yet. Would like to have seen that maybe rooted up on top or anywhere besides being unrooted. But you know what? The bunker doesn't go up, so Freedom's going to be all right here. Pretty well defended. And if we look at worker-wise, we do see Freedom up now 4 workers. He has his natural expansion. It's been defended, so yeah, if he plays this out and just plays safely and then plays it further on to the later game, he's going to have that advantage moving forward. More Marines are coming out. There are 3 barracks, you have to remember, right here outside of Freedom's base, so it's not over yet. A lot of Marines together bunched up. They have the micro ability, as we're seeing a lot of these Lings are going down. The Queen as well as on low energy. I'd like to see maybe a few more Queens coming out, as we only have 1 Queen out here for our Zerg player. Feeling maybe a little bit tight in minerals, but we're actually seeing a lot of minerals being floated, so I don't know, maybe Inject's not getting laid down correctly. But Marine's getting pushed back once again. That Spinecrawler seems like it's going to be well defended with the second Spinecrawler buddy, and now 2 Queens here at the natural. Still no natural expansion yet for our Terran player, but we're just seeing that get placed down right now. We have no gas at all for our Terran player as well, so he's just straight up building Marines. Marine supply depots and barracks is all we're seeing come out, as long as SCVs, as well as SCVs, I mean. No gas as well for Freedom. I would like to have seen maybe a gas geyser go down so he could get that speed out and maybe start working towards a Roach bust, or maybe like a Ling Baneling, or anything to break out of here, or maybe just even take his third. Now we're seeing double gas come down as well as an Evo chamber, so maybe want to get +1 attack. I think with +1 attack on the Banelings, maybe you need +2 attack on the Banelings to one-shot combat Marines, but now we're seeing a good number of Marines. How many Marines are out here? 15 Marines against now 2-3 Speedlings, or not Speedlings, regular Zerglings. The transfuses on that Spinecrawler are really good. That Queen getting away with 3 HP. So close. A couple drones coming off the line as well. I think he wants to save that one Spinecrawler, but you don't want to lose too many drones. I don't know if any drones actually went down right there. If we look at workers killed, actually, our Zerg player is the only one to actually kill any workers, and those were the couple of SCVs that were sent to build a supply or a bunker. Now a couple of Zerglings coming out here in the middle of the map to go ahead and surround these Marines. Is he going to get the surround? Some pretty good micro here coming out by Paradox, but yeah, he's going to be able to clean up all these Lings again. So if we look at the losses, we still see a deficit here for our Terran player. Remember, for every 2 Zerglings that go down, that's the cost of 1 Marine. So Freedom can't afford to trade some of these Lings, but it also does cost him a lot of drones to keep building cycles of Lings over and over again. If you look at the income tab, we do still see him up 14 workers, though. Our Terran players hasn't really been keeping up with that worker production. In fact, now he's got double gas geyser, but he almost doesn't have enough guys mining minerals to support that. We're going to probably see our Terran players' gas start to spike up here if the game goes on for too much longer like this. Anyways, a few Lings coming here to the natural Paradox. I just want to see exactly what KJ Freedom was able to see. And not too much more information on the fact that that expansion is now down. But I think he could kind of infer that. And actually a sneaky third base, I didn't even notice that until right now at the bottom here. We're seeing that factory also come down here for our Terran player. Hopefully going to be getting up to Medivacs. I would like to see a bunker. We're starting to see some semblance of a wall off here starting to form for Paradox, but at any point in time, a large group of, like I said, if Freedom had maybe gone for it, we are seeing the Roaches now starting to come out, but if he'd done for like a Roach Speedling Bane follow-up bus sort of deal to punish the investment that Paradox had made early on, trying to get those early barracks, which are now kind of floating around, scouting about, which I think is pretty funny too. But, yeah, he could have done that same attack and punished our Terran player. Was the point I was trying to make. Now we're seeing 3 bunkers go up, and that's because Paradox is now aware of the fact that these Roaches are starting to make their way across the map. We're seeing Freedom now trying to hone on in, but there's a good number of buildings here. With only 4 Roaches, they're not really going to be able to do too much. Maybe he can pick off a SCV and kind of... nope, that SCV will get away with his life. And Freedom deciding, forget it. I'm not going to waste these 4 Roaches. We'll just send them back to defend, and that's pretty smart considering if we look at the economy. He's still ahead. He's got 3 bases, one of them a sneak base, which is pretty cool. Factory now is coming down. I think we're having, yeah, that's a tech lab and a reactor. I didn't even notice that on. So wow, we actually have 2 factories out, obviously. right there, and that +1 mech attack upgrade. So we're gonna be seeing maybe well, he's got still 3 barracks, and he's still adding on a tech lab for one of his barracks. So maybe we'll see, maybe we'll see like some kind of a strange mech bioforce. Paradox is still completely unaware of that third base. I just want to point that out. Now we're seeing the 4th base come out here for Freedom. He's got full map control. He's starting to get that creep spread out, so he's going to be aware of a few attacks. Could be a little bit vulnerable to drops now that we're starting to see, well, we're not actually seeing any medevacs come out quite yet, but the starport is down, so we could start to see some medevacs come out and potentially drops come out as well. This base is completely undefended, but that's kind of... that's fine if you think about it, because it's like, what are you going to do to defend it, right? Are you going to put up 5, 10 spine crawlers and like 8 spore crawlers? No, it's too much of an investment. So if the hatchery goes down, you try and run the drones as best as you can, but it's so far away, unless you have mutalisks or speedlings or something already there to something quick to defend, then that base is pretty much for loss. But it's already more than mined it's worth out. So well done here by Freedom. Gonna be getting that to pay off. Also great to see him get so many drones down there. Sometimes you see people get that extra base, like especially as Protoss, it's one of the most difficult things if you sneak one of those bases to slowly now start to either build one at a time to get that base completely saturated. But we're starting to see a pretty large Marine Hellion Hellbat push coming out, but there's so many roaches here and actually getting caught out, transforming on creep. Not a good situation to be. Marauders coming out. Sea Chanks as well can do pretty well against roaches. We saw those extra tech labs coming down on those barracks for Paradox, so he's going to be able to keep building up, or continuing with the Marauder count. But pretty good roach splits here now against the few remaining Hellbats, and we're starting to see our Terran player getting pushed back again, down almost 50 supply. Hopefully Paradox will be able to defend this this roach attack. Roaches are slow. There is no roach speed coming out. I also want to point out there is a Nidus Worm in production, as well as their Baneling Nest. Income-wise, we're still seeing Freedom up by 20 workers. So it's in a strong position on 4 bases. It's all coming down to whether or not he can get some of these extra upgrades coming out. We're seeing float a lot of resources. So unfortunately stunting a bit of his production, but he's still in such a dominating position. It won't matter too much as long as he kind of maintains that foothold. But there is, of course, still the potential here for Paradox to do some really good drops, take out a lot of workers, make Freedom trade inefficiently. That's one thing that roaches are, extremely inefficient. So if he starts taking terrible fights and starts losing, 40, 30 supply of roaches for nothing, loses, 30, 40 workers to a couple of Hellion drops, we can see this game turn around really quickly. As well as Mech is kind of that snowballing force. We're starting to see it now really start to get in production. That 3rd base is up. Gas is going to be actually a little bit of a limiting factor now for Paradox, as he's kind of committing to a little bit more of a full-scale, starport with the tech lab. Interesting. Not really sure what that's going to be producing, but we'll see, man. Maybe we'll get some battle cruisers. I'd be excited by that. But Freedom's coming in now with an Overseer, so he's going to be able to get that full scout off. He's kind of seeing exactly what the production is looking like. This is actually his first look into the main, and maybe his last look, as that Overseer gets shot down. Anyways, positioning another Overlord there, we are seeing Freedom do. We'll see him spreading creep here at that potential 3rd base for Paradox, which is pretty nice. Which is actually going to force him to take this base down here, which might lead him to somehow inadvertently scout this base, which I think would be kind of funny, that decision. But more likely than not, we'll just see. Hopefully Paradox send a couple Marines up there and deal with that Overlord eventually. Anyways, the force is moving out here for Paradox. I'm curious to see where... Okay, he's just kind of swinging around here on this right-hand side, maybe looking for a separate approach. We are having this Nidus Worm come down, though, here on the left-hand side, and this is actually perfect timing here for Freedom, because, look, Paradox is moving out. If he had noticed it and surrounded it with his SCVs, he would have been fine, but he didn't do that. Now he notices it, but it's too late. It looks like Zerglings are coming out, going to be getting an attack here on the SCVs. The Nidus Worm goes down, though, able to get a surround on those Marauders, and every single SCV here at the Natural is going down. We're seeing a little bit of inaction here by Paradox, as he's just kind of sitting here dumbfounded trying to deal with the Lings here in his Natural, microwaving away a few Hellions. Going to be able to pull the Zerglings. Oh, no, not able to pull them into the Siege Tank. In fact, the Zerglings go into the main, so really well done here by Freedom as well. If we look at the workers lost now, that's 18, 19, 20. The kills are going up, man. It's actually... That's actually quite a lot. That's about, yeah, Oh, wow, actually, you know what? Our Terran player had gotten up to a good number of SCVs, now down to 51, but he got himself up to 50. I'm actually surprised. Now that large mech force here on the left-hand side is taking out that left-hand base, completely undefended. Where are all the roaches? I want to see. Let's take a look at the units or the units tab. We're not seeing too many units at all from Freedom. We see them up with 5k minerals and almost 2.5k gas. We're only seeing a few swarm hosts coming out. It looks like he got caught in a transition here. I'm curious what happened to all those roaches. They might have just been caught off guard here by this Hellion Marauder force, which, I mean, to be fair, is really, really, really good against roaches. But now, up here at the top, the Swarmos are trying to do their thing, hold off. We see a ton of Banelings being morphed in, because why not? You've got all the resources. The Nidus Swarm is going to go down, which is a little bit unfortunate. Also, the Evo Chambers, he did lose one of his upgrades that was in production. We had 15 Swarmos in production. So, assuming they don't get caught out, looks like a lot of them are being built at the natural, while Zerglings are being built here in the main. And I think he's going to be able to clean up this attack. Freedom, though, is down a ton of supply where he really shouldn't be. A lot of reinforcements coming from those bottom bases. I love the base expanding that Freedom choosing to take. These are some crazy base choices here. We're seeing the production now also being increased here by Paradox. No sort of counterattacks being done by Freedom because he barely had enough to produce his main army. Where are all the swarm hosts, though? I want to know. Did he lose those swarm hosts? There's siege tanks now sieging up his natural. I'm afraid that he might have. He had a ton of swarm hosts. Okay, a lot of them here at the natural, but there were like 17 in production. How many are there left? 14 now, so he still has a good number, and they will be able to clean up these siege tanks. It looks like one gets away from the medevac that are finally being produced. Saved a ton of drones, though, that Freedom did. So if we look at the units tab now, we see looks like a small poultry force here, a couple of mech units, and then 12 Marines for our Terran player, while we have a ton of swarm hosts coming out for our Zerg player. So the only saving grace I see here coming out for Paradox is maybe he can get some Banshees out and maybe deal, and that's actually what we're seeing, a couple of Banshees come across, and saying maybe get some free kills here on the swarm host, but Freedom has so much resource. He's got so many bases. If he rebuilds his tech and keeps up with injects and gets his queens out, or maybe he just throws down a couple of extra hatcheries because he has a ton of minerals, he should be able to deal with any sort of force that Paradox can muster, assuming that he prevents these extra bases. But we're seeing Paradox actually take this fourth base. It's already being mined from. I hit back again when I meant to hit V. Sorry about that. Let's take a look, though. I was just wondering, he was ha-haing, so I was curious to see if maybe he had been able to, oh, that's what he was ha-haing about. There we go. I was curious to see if maybe he scanned one of these bases, but no, the scan was going down on these swarm hosts. Which, again, it's pretty smart for him to do if he can get a few kills, but, yeah, we're actually seeing a spore crawler here. Kind of denying that a little bit. Still swarm hosts here in the main, and actually some banelings here chilling. I guess they can be used for drop prevention. There's that Banshee kind of playing the lone vigil here, keeping watch. These Swarmos could be moved up a little bit. One of the negativities to Swarmos is that they're extremely immobile, and I would have said the same thing about Paradox's army composition, but we're starting to see him really transition further into, or to keep on adding in more barracks, which kind of leans towards less of trying to work on this mech composition. But he still keeps adding in siege tanks, banshees, and hellions, which I don't disagree with. I think it's a fine thing if he commits to it. But having, you know, small numbers like that, they just kind of get picked off. They don't really seem to do much. Now this Nidus Worm here going to be used, I guess, just as an extra form of attack. The small force of Bio actually making its way onto the right-hand side while the Nidus goes out. So maybe we'll see some multi-pronged attacks. That one siege tank from earlier is down to 4 HP. It's coming back for revenge. He's saying, "I saw what you did to my platoon." But not actually sieging up. There we go. And sweet, now we see units coming out. Actually, Swarmos, nice. Oh, so we were talking about the immobility of Swarmos, so that's a way to bypass it. Use a Nidus Worm, basically a wormhole in this game. Or a literal worm. And Baneling's coming out there as well, and it looks like Freedom's attack here at the northern side is going to start taking out some of this extra production that Paradox added on. This fight is still going on down here at the bottom, or at the top here, but getting cleaned up by the sick Baneling hits that Freedom did do. This Banshee is still going ham. Look at that. That's one silly Banshee. We're starting to see, I think, the claws here of Freedom starting to clench down around Paradox. As you're seeing, the production is kind of getting pushed back. The supply, we're seeing Freedom up now about 50. Siege tanks trying to get as much cover and defense as they can, but Baneling's starting to roll in, taking on these last few bunkers from the very beginning of the game, actually. Kind of funny, those early roaches. And Mutal is now coming out for Freedom as well, going to be able to deal with those Banshees. So a really smart response here. And yeah, it looks like Paradox is just being pushed back further and further. He keeps trying to add on more barracks to try and deal with this, but free units, man, are taking out units that are costing him 50 minerals each. And units keep also reinforcing from that that right-hand side, which is a little bit funny. One of the... oh, well, we're having a GG come out here for Paradox, but one of the things I would have liked to have seen from Freedom is to maybe look around a little bit more and try and harass these bases, but he was able to just drill on through, so that's going to be the GG. And a really sick game, actually, turning around, like, multiple turnaround points. So I was really surprised by that. They're still just chatting it out, though. Of course, they are buddies, so they just want to talk about their games and improve, because that's what all Starcraft's about, right, guys? But solid game from Freedom here. Go ahead and end it. There we go. Boom, and hopefully we can get our next game lined up here shortly. For those of you in chat, make sure to say hello. Appreciate it. Help keep me company while I cast these games. We have a ton of games lined up for you, like I mentioned earlier. All the next ones are going to be live, and I'm actually getting an invite to the next game. So we'll be getting this one started up really quickly. It's going to be between Blake and Criminal. Hopefully we can get it started up here shortly. The map is going to be King Sejon. Hey, what's up? Freedom, you there?
Yes.
Oh, yep.
All right.
And I can hear you too.
All right. Yeah. So we're just waiting on Criminal now, and we're ready to start. So I think he's in the middle of a game. We did tell him at 10 o'clock, so he's got a few minutes, but we can chit chat and see what you thought of that.
Yeah, Troy, we do have 8 minutes actually until the top of the hour, so good point.
Yeah, the game ended. Yeah, that game, that was insane. I basically, just as an insight there from one of the players, I missed his big push on the right.
Yeah.
And so I lost all my roaches to it. I got crushed with that, and I almost lost the game because of that. Thankfully, I had the hidden expansions.
Okay, so that is what happened to the roaches. I was wondering, because you had, like 20 or 30 roaches. I'm like, oh, they just, got obliterated. So it must have ran into that Marauder siege tank force, because I kind of missed the first move out there.
Yeah, it was insane. But luckily, I had a lot of resources, so, and the hidden expansions. And actually, that's what he said he said damn about was when he saw it. I don't know how he saw it. He didn't scan or anything. I think he might have just ran to it with something.
Workers or something.
Yeah, and it looks like Criminal.
I thought he was saying damn because of he had the Banshee attacking the Swarmos.
Yeah, maybe, but yeah.